or they win.
All right, welcome back to our special coverage of the elections happening today at 31 states across the country. We have got everything covered here. DDHQ has called several races. We called the mayor's race for Zohran Mamdani just a few moments ago. The governor's races for New Jersey and Virginia. Both have gone Democratic tonight by pretty healthy margins. Joining us here at the desk is Mike Nellis, Democratic strategist and former senior advisor to Vice President Kamala Harris. Welcome. Good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
So we just heard the reaction from the White House and from Democratic sources, according to our Kelly Myers, who are saying it's a good night to be a Democrat tonight. Are you feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I think it's good. It's nice to win again, but I think the White House is a little bit delusional if they think this isn't reflective of how the nation has changed in the last year.
How has it changed?
Well, I think look at the numbers, right? Kamala Harris won Virginia by about 6 points. Looks like Abigail Spanberger is going to win by about 12. In New Jersey, she won by about 5. It looks like Democrats are going to win by about 10, maybe 8. So you see the nation moving away from Donald Trump. You see people awfully frustrated.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you exactly what I asked Steyerwalt in the break as we're watching Zohran Mamdani's headquarters. We'll take his speech when he gets there. It would have been very easy 4 years ago, and boy, NewsNation's come a long way since 4 years ago when I was on a balcony by myself at 1 o'clock in the morning talking about the Virginia governor's race, when Glenn Youngkin won, to say, oh my God, it is going to be a blowout for Republicans in the midterms because of how incredibly unusual this mandate that Youngkin got in Virginia was, this victory. Why is it that Democrats don't have the same potential problems that Republicans did 4 years ago?
Well, I think Democrats are a lot better about candidate recruitment. Like if you look at candidate recruitment 4 years ago, it was rough for the Republicans. They ran a lot of candidates that dramatically underperformed. I think you'd call that a Trump effect. Like Donald Trump is not particularly good at selecting the candidates that are going to help Republicans win. They underperform. He overperforms because he's got a secret sauce that every Democrat in the party gets really frustrated by, would love to figure out how to replicate it for themselves. But I think if Democrats run good candidates, which they've been knocking it out of the park on candidate recruitment like Roy Cooper in North Carolina, you'll find Democrats do just as well as they did tonight.
Do you think when you talk about that secret sauce that President Trump has, what are you predicting happens at the midterms in a year? Because Donald Trump will not be on the ballot, but his agenda, he needs control of Congress to get his agenda through. And can he get his supporters to come out to the polls to vote for Republican candidates if he's not on the ballot? I'm
not sure he can without him on the ballot. Like he's never been able to do it before. Every midterm.
So his supporters love him and vote for him. They're not going to come out for anybody else, even when it's his own agenda that's at stake.
I don't think so. I think the other thing you have to remember is that people are pretty frustrated right now. He ran on getting grocery prices down on day one. We're 10 months in. Everything's more expensive. And he's living in fantasy land pretending like it isn't a problem.
So this is a coalitional problem that Democrats used to have. And we can even think about it as recently as the Obama era, where when you have working class voters that are on your side, those are the lower propensity voters. They don't come out in midterms. They definitely don't come out in off year elections. But they do show up in quadrennial presidential years. Sure. So for Democrats, the comparative cycle of 2018, right? So big win in Virginia in 2017 and the anti-Trump backlash. Democrats have their best 2018 of all time. The question I have for you is, in the 4-year cycle, in the presidential cycle, how did Democrats get working class voters back? How do they get them back? Or is it just about running up the score with college-educated, suburban, more affluent voters?
No, I think we have to get working-class voters back if we're going to win the next election, if we're going to win the next presidential election for sure. I think two things to keep in mind. One, the state of the economy is really rough right now. The job market is the worst it's been in the last 5 years. Everybody knows it's more expensive if you're balancing a household budget. That's going to move a lot of folks back into our column because there's nowhere else for them to go, right? Democrats still have to offer them a real solution. When you go to 4 years from now where you need to find a presidential candidate, it's going to be a complete and total reset in American politics. Donald Trump will not be on the ballot, despite what Steve Bannon says. He's not going to be on the ballot in a couple of years. And Democrats are going to have a new standard bearer. Republicans are going to have a new standard bearer. It's going to be a whole new ballgame.
You want to just talk about energy for a second. Abigail Spanberger already talked almost an hour ago where she won in Virginia, and that party's still going on. It tells you where the energy is in the Democratic Party. I want to bring Batya Ungar-Sargon in, who is still with us, host of Batya on NewsNation. We can put up, Batya, the picture of Zohran Mamdani's. We lost Batya. So there you go. Who's walking out with? Is that Spanberger walking out again?
No.
Okay.
I think that's the lieutenant governor.
Lieutenant Governor. So, all right. Back to you, Nellis. We get this. This is again from Kelly Meyer reporting, and I'm hearing exactly the same thing. over and over and over again from Republicans. From a GOP campaign operative to NewsNation, quote, Democrats have made a communist the face of their party in the nation's largest city, providing Republicans a political gift that keeps on giving. Donald Trump does very well when he has somebody to fight against. So do Republicans. You're telling me Zoran Mamdani isn't a problem for Democrats in a place like Georgia a year from now?
No, I don't think it's going to be a problem in Georgia a year from now because I don't think there's a type of voter that exists that goes, I was going to vote for the Democratic Party, but New York City has a mayor I don't like. I don't think that type of voter exists in the same way that I don't think there's a voter that's going to be mad because a Republican gets elected somewhere that's too extreme or conservative.
Well, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with the answer I think you're about to give, which is we're a big tent. I don't believe in a big tent. I've never believed in a big tent.
Well, you guys are both wrong. And here's why.
Well, hold on. I haven't even said it yet.
No, you're both wrong, though, about people don't say I'm not going to vote because somebody in that party is too extreme. New York is the exception.
Oh.
Bill de Blasio was a great thing for Republicans because New York was going downhill. Crime was going up. It was reported on. People could see it. People could see the flight to Florida during COVID and the restrictions, and people voted against that across the country.
There can be a metaphor fact, but I'm not disagreeing with that idea. I'm just saying his point is that when you're having specific races, they want to bring up the mayor of New York City, and you're like talking about North Carolina. It doesn't have as much purchase. But the party's going to be one thing in the midterms. It's going to have one personality. And I don't have to tell you the desire for muscularity, the desire for fighting back. Are you Spanberger or are you Mamdani?
I think it depends on where I'm running. I don't think you have to choose either or. I think candidate quality is going to matter here, and I think that the similarities between the two is they were laser focused on affordability. So I'm going to run strong candidates in as many elections as I can. They're going to focus on cost of living. They're going to focus on how they're going to help people. That's what Zoran did. That's what Spanberger did. That's what Mikey Sherrill did, and all three won tonight.
You don't see a bifurcated, almost schizophrenic schism, I mean, in those two wings of the party and the way they speak to people, the issues yes, they're both talking about affordability, but that's where that's where the similarity ends.
Well, but I think that's what coalition politics looks like, right? Like Susan Collins has to run a different game in Maine versus what Donald Trump does nationally. So I think you got to leave room for that to happen. Jared Golden is another example. He vastly outperforms Democrats in his district. I think it's an R+8 district, right? So I think you'll just remember that.
All right. Well, we'll see. It's going to be very, very interesting, shall we say. And the point that you're making, or that you were making about Bill de Blasio, it wasn't, people weren't reacting to Bill de Blasio, the person Bill de Blasio. They were reacting to the issues that were created as a result of,
Look, but also de Blasio is a zero who is easy to dislike and easy to lampoon. And he had no movement behind him.
Hey, can I add, though? Maybe you didn't hear when she said we have to take a break.
Take a break.
Okay, we're going to take a break.
You guys kept going.
We'll keep figuring this out in the break. We'll see you guys in a minute.
This veteran